Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto left abandoned by his teammates after suffering a wound during the Chunin exams, part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. The results of training. The cheering of the crowd was almost deafening. The arena floor was mostly sparse of green save for a single tree near the edge. Naruto looked at the Hokage as he raised his hand up. The crowd's cheering died down. The proctor of the exam used the moment to come forward. Hello everyone and welcome to the Chunin exam finals. There are going to be some minor changes before we begin. Dosu Kinuta is no longer participating in the finals and as such, Sasuke Uchiha shall take his place in the first match. So everyone but Shino Aburame and Sasuke Uchiha please make your way up to the viewing area so we can begin. Naruto followed Shikamaru up to the viewing area and everyone waited for Sasuke to show up. The crowd was starting to get restless and after 5 minutes he could see the Hokage and Kazekage speak before sending a messenger to the proctor. As Sasuke Uchiha is not here yet we shall move the first match back until all other fights are done. If Sasuke Uchiha is not here by then he will be disqualified. The crowd let out soft boos but most stayed quiet. Naruto could see people were miffed that he had not shown up yet. Will Shikamaru, Nara and Kankuro of the Sand please make their way down? I forfeit, yelled Kankuro to the proctor. Naruto's head snapped to the puppet wielder as every alarm in his head was blaring that this was not normal. The crowd already unhappy started booing hard. What is he up to? You don't just quit in the finals. The proctor took a minute to try and calm the crowd as he proclaimed Shikamaru the winner and called the next two participants. Would Naruto Uzumaki and Gaara of the Sand please make their way down? Naruto started making his way to the arena but was stopped by Shino and Shikamaru. You should give up Naruto, that guy is something different. Shikamaru said as Shino nodded along. That is correct. His chakra is vile and corrosive. My bugs won't go near him, it reminds me of how they would sometimes act with you. The words meant little to Shikamaru who didn't understand the full weight of Shino's statement. Naruto simply nodded with an annoyed frown before heading down and as soon as he was standing in front of Gaara the crowd exploded in a cheer as they were finally going to see some action. Gaara was releasing some serious killing intent and Naruto, who was already annoyed by his former classmates, decided to respond in kind. The arena was filled with killing intent and some of the cheering died down as they felt the tension in the air. Gaara let out a cruel smile when he felt the blonde's own killing intent. The proctor asked if both Naruto and Gaara were ready and as he received a nod from both he jumped back. Begin. As soon as the proctor spoke Naruto raised his left hand in a half-ram seal and used the body flicker to get behind Gaara. He pulled a kunai out with his right hand and tried to slam it into his head from behind but was stopped by the sand. Gaara turned to look at him as the sand lashed out. If that's all you can do, mother will be disappointed. Naruto jumped back to avoid the sand. I know, I just needed to see how quickly that sand reacted up close. Gaara raised his hand and a tendril of sand was sent to Naruto. The blonde quickly went through hand seals and inhaled deeply. Wind style. Great breakthrough. Naruto unleashed a gale of wind that dispersed the sand and was headed towards Gaara but was stopped by a wall of sand that came directly from his gourd. Looks like the sand from his gourd is of better quality than the sand he gets from the ground. Gaara let out another smile. Mother wants your blood. She screams at me. She wants your blood. Gaara raised his arms up. Sand shuriken. Sand had gathered in front of Gaara and then shot out at high speeds to the blonde. Naruto avoided the barrage of sand and created 3 clones that circled around Gaara so he was surrounded. He and his clones went through the same hand seals and all 4 blondes could be heard shouting. Water style. Raging waves. Each blonde let out pressurized blasts of water and the Gaara's gourd exploded and formed a sphere around him. Good, it's working. Naruto thought to himself as he watched the sand became muddy as puddles formed on the ground. He stopped his assault and saw most of Gaara's sand was now wet. Naruto and his clones rushed the redhead and his sand came up much slower than before to stop the clones who attacked first. Naruto saw an opening and kicked Gaara in the face and sent him to the ground. Sand exploded from underneath Gaara as a crazed look came to his eye. His chakra darkened and felt familiar to the blonde. So he is like me. Yes. You can prove my existence. Gaara sent large waves at the blonde who used his shadow clones as distractions. Naruto and his clones would use the body flicker to move in fast and strike at Gaara. While Naruto wasn't as quick as Lee, he made up for it by attacking at multiple angles at the same time with his clones. Naruto saw two of his clones attack as Gaara raised his sand to defend. He quickly appeared behind the sand ninja, hit him, sending him stumbling back. This pattern continued for a couple of minutes. After the fifth hit, Gaara growled and made a dome of sand around himself, and the blonde sent a clone to attack it only to be destroyed as a sand spear grew out of the orb. The crowd had been going crazy as they watched such an amazing match and cheered even louder when Naruto tried his great breakthrough and a fireball jutsu to try and pierce the orb. Damn, I was hoping that would be enough. Naruto summoned two clones and bit his thumb before blazing through same hand seals. Summoning jutsu. The crowd was near deafening as Naruto summoned a large toad almost as big as himself. The toad was velvet and was wearing a brown vest. Hello, Naruto. The velvet toad spoke. Hey Gamataro, do you think you could give me some oil? The toad nodded and he and his clones ran through seals. If one would look closely, they would notice that his clones used different seals than that of their creator. And as one, Naruto and his clones inhaled, and so did Gamataro. Ninja arts. Toad oil bullet. Wind style. Great breakthrough. Fire style. Great fireball jutsu. Naruto unleashed his fireball as it was powered up massively by his clone's wind jutsu. This caused the fire to turn from a warm yellow to a searing blue that was once more augmented by the toad's oil hitting it. The blue wave of fire transformed into a blazing white inferno that caused many in the crowd to yelp in fright as the heat reached them. Naruto could see from the corner of his eye, he could see other ninja looking on amazed that a genin had such a devastating combination his arsenal. Naruto kept up the hellish flame attack up for 30 seconds before stopping. When the flames cleared, he could see the sand orb had been turned to glass as a badly burned Gaara screamed inside. The blonde dashed to the orb before signaling his clones to use another jutsu. He waved at Gamataro as he went back home. Naruto gathered earth chakra into his right arm, turning it black before hitting the glass orb, shattering it. Behind him, he could hear shouts of the clones using their water jutsu as Gaara was blasted back towards the single tree in the arena. Gaara slowly stood up, absolutely soaked and full of third-degree burns. It hurts. Mother, it hurts. Gaara kept screaming as Naruto casually walked forward as he made some hand seals and stopped about 10 feet in front the redhead as he brought his hand down on the giant puddle he was standing on him. Lightning style. Electromagnetic murder. A surge of electricity ran across the water and Gaara was hit with the full force of the water-enhanced lightning jutsu. After 10 seconds, Gaara fell down unconscious. Naruto's eyes widened as he felt the buildup of the tailed beast's chakra inside of Gaara, and before anyone could react, Naruto vanished as he slammed his hand into Gaara's stomach, his fingers lit with glowing kanji. 5-element seal. Naruto felt the chakra disappear, and there he could feel the arena shake as the crowd went crazy again. Naruto could see many ninja tense at the feeling of the demon's chakra before they relaxed slightly when it disappeared. Naruto could hear Temari screaming for her brother as she and Kankuro rushed towards him as the medics took him away. Winner of the third match, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto made his way back to the viewing area and was met with the shocked faces of his classmates. The proctor allowed the crowd to gossip about the match before quieting them and calling the next match. Would Neji Hyuga and Temari of the Sand please make their way down? Naruto saw Neji make his way to the arena as Temari came out of the tunnels leading to the med bay. The proctor jumped away as he told them to begin. You should give up, you're no match for me. Neji's voice was clearly heard by all and Naruto let out a small frown. I don't know if I want him to win so I can kick his ass or lose and get humiliated by Temari, thought Naruto. Just keep talking. We'll see who comes out on top. Temari opened up her fan fully and swung hard. A blast of wind barreled at Neji, who activated his Byakugan too and was able to see the wind chakra race towards him. The leaf ninja rolled away and he dashed towards the sand kunoichi as she once again sent waves of wind at him. Neji jumped away and closed the distance as he sent a palm strike to the blonde that was blocked by her fan. Temari used her fan as a club as she tried to jump back, only for Neji to duck under the swing and hit her several times in her arms and shoulders. Neji then continued his attack and Temari was peppered with finger jabs all over her body before she was sent flying back with a palm strike to her chest. This match is over. I've closed all the chakra points in your arm. You can no longer fight. Temari slowly raised herself and swung her open fan, only for nothing to happen. With a look of frustration, she looked over and muttered to the proctor. I forfeit. Neji let out a smirk. Winner Neji Hyuga. The majority of the crowd clapped politely and some even cheered even when the match was a lot shorter than the last one and not as exciting. Will Sasuke Uchiha and Shino Aburame please make their way to the arena? Shino stood silently as they waited for the Uchiha, and after 5 minutes the crowd started booing as they were offended that Sasuke had not shown himself yet. It was after another 5 minutes that the crowd's booing reached a new level as the crowd became unsettled. Seeing the crowd react, the proctor turned to the Hokage, who nodded. Sasuke Uchiha is disqualified and the winner of the match is Shino Aburame. The crowd cheered as they felt that the Uchiha deserved the disqualification for making them wait. Naruto just shook his head seeing his sensei and teammate not show up. Would Shino Aburame and Shikamaru Nara please come down? We shall now commence the second round of the finals. Naruto watched as his two classmates stood across from each other as they eyed themselves. If both fighters are ready, begin. The Shikamaru made a hand seal as his shadow extended and Shino jumped back and let his bugs leave from under his coat. It became a game of cat and mouse as the two avoided their respective jutsus. Shikamaru brought out multiple kunai as he began throwing them at Shino at random intervals. The bug user calmly deflected the kunai when he saw that some of the kunai had seal tags on them. There were several bright flashes showing that the tags were actually flash bangs. Shino covered his eyes with his arm when he felt himself stop suddenly. I got you now, Shino. Shikamaru had used the opening the flash bangs had created to extend his shadow and capture Shino. You may have caught me, but this is my victory. Why? Because my bugs are all around you waiting for my command to attack. Shikamaru looked down and saw hundreds of bugs crawling in the dirt around him. What a troublesome opponent. Proctor, I forfeit. Shikamaru sighed and the proctor called the match. As the two-leaf ninja shook hands before Shino made his way back to the viewing area. You did well to last so long. It was unfortunate I was your opponent. It was a bad matchup, said Shino. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to fight you at all. This was so troublesome. The proctor spoke up as soon as both genins left. He addressed the crowd. Would Neji Hyuga and Naruto Uzumaki make their way down? Naruto body flickered down and stood in front of Neji as the two glared at each other. You only made it this far because of luck, but this is where it ends. Fate declared you the loser when you were matched against me. Naruto said nothing and simply got into his fighting stance. What? Too scared to respond. Neji tried to mock Naruto again. Proctor, start the match. Naruto never turned away from Neji as he spoke to the proctor as Neji glared at the blonde. If both fighters are ready, begin. As the proctor jumped away, Neji spoke once more. I shall give you one final chance to give you. Neji had to duck as Naruto used the body flicker and blurred to Neji and tried to kick him. Neji spun and tried to palm strike Naruto only to be sucker punched by a clone of Naruto. Neji backflipped as he rolled with the punch as he activated his Byakugan. He saw there were 4 Narutos circling him. He couldn't tell which one was the original as they all had the same amount of chakra. 2 clones ran at him as he spun and deflected their attacks. He tried to counter them only to be interrupted by a third. He saw that another Naruto was running through hand seals and Neji heard him shout out the name of the jutsu. Water style. Raging waves. Neji saw the attack coming and channeled chakra all over his body as he couldn't dodge as the other clones were blocking his escape. He began spinning as he released his stored chakra. Rotation. Neji was covered in a dome of spinning chakra and as he blocked the water jutsu, the clones that were near him were knocked back and dispelled from the hit. Neji stopped spinning and glared at the blonde. The crowd cheered seeing another flashy fight. You might have gotten past Gaara's defenses but the Hyuga ultimate defense is unbreakable. Naruto scoffed before making 3 clones and sending 2 at Neji. As they engaged him in a taijutsu match he pulled out 2 shurikens and threw them as he and his clone ran through hand seals. The 2 clones fighting Neji dispersed and coated the area with smoke. Wind style. Breakthrough. Ninja arts. Shuriken shadow clone jutsu. The 2 shuriken Naruto threw picked up speed as they were hit with the wind before multiplying. The 2 shuriken became 24 and Neji, unable to dodge due to the new speed of the shuriken, once again used his rotation. As Neji was slowing down he was hit in the side by a clone as he was unable to avoid because of his spinning. Another clone hit him into the air and Neji was met with 2 Narutos as they hit him with their right and left fists as he was sent down to the ground. Neji bounced before flipping to his feet. The Hyuga was bleeding from his mouth and was panting slightly. So Neji, is this the part where I give up? After all, isn't my fate to be defeated today? Naruto's words caused the Hyuga to stew in rage. You know nothing. Our fates have been decided since before we were born. Neji reached up and untied his headband to show a seal on his forehead. This seal binds me as a member of the Hyuga side branch. I was bra. Neji was interrupted by a kunai that was thrown by Naruto. I don't give a shit. You're barking up the wrong tree if you want to compare seals that bind you. If you want to talk then give up. Just because something bad happened to you doesn't give you the right to be a prick to innocent people. Neji was consumed by rage and sprinted at Naruto who deflected all his strikes and jumped back. Neji lowered his stance with both arms stretched out, one lower than the other. Naruto heard some of the Hyugas that were in the stands gasp. It's over. You're within my range. 8 trigrams. 64 palms. 2 palms. Neji sent out 2-finger jabs that were dodged by the blonde. 4 palm. This time the strikes came faster and the blonde had more trouble dodging them. 8 palm. The speed once again increased as the blonde had to deflect some strikes, unable to dodge all of them. 16 palm. Naruto had to channel chakra to increase his speed as he ducked and weaved through the strikes, Neji's face slowly contorting into an ugly mask of hate as he couldn't land a hit. 64 palms. Neji's hands almost blurred and Naruto was able to deflect all the strikes. The final hit Neji sent was a palm strike that Naruto spun around and delivered a devastating elbow strike to the side of Neji's head. He stumbled and Naruto took advantage as he kneed him in the stomach before grabbing him and throwing him at the wall of the arena where he channeled earth chakra into his fist and launched a punch at Neji. The older genin just barely moved out of the way as Naruto's punch cracked the wall. Neji got his balance back in time to block a kick that sent him skidding back. Naruto created 5 clones as he rushed Neji and Neji was barely able to defend himself from the blonde's onslaught. 2 clones came behind Neji and kicked him forward as another close lined him as he fell to the ground as 3 Narutos dropped on him with their knees. Neji spits up blood as his eyes rolled back into his head. Naruto dispelled his clones and the crowd went crazy. He could see his teammate Sakura cheer on with Ino beside her as the platinum blonde pointed at him enthusiastically. Winner, Naruto Uzumaki. The crowd continued to cheer and the proctor had to call them down. We will now have a 30-minute intermission to allow the finalist rest before conducting the final fig. The proctor was stopped as 2 people used the body flicker to appear in the middle of the arena. Sorry we're not late, are we? Naruto could do nothing but sigh as he looked at his late team members. Kakashi looked the same as always. Sasuke was wearing black shorts and a black shirt. His hair had lengthened slightly and he had bandages and a belt wrapped around his left hand. Yes you are. Naruto spoke and the two turned to face him. Kakashi's eye widened and Sasuke glared. The crowd had started booing them. The proctor stepped forward to talk to them. Sasuke was disqualified when he didn't show up in time for his match. You guys had ample opportunity to show up, we even moved you fight back and gave you extra time. Sasuke glared at Kakashi, who simply nodded and took them away from the arena when he saw how hostile the crowd was being to them. Naruto turned to walk up to the viewing area as the proctor finished his explanation. Naruto sat down and meditated for the remaining half hour. Naruto heard the proctor call his name alongside Shino's. The two-leaf ninja stood in the arena as the crowd cheered. This is the final fight of the Chunin exams will now commence. Are both fighters ready? Both Shino and Naruto nodded. Begin. The proctor jumped back and Naruto made 3 clones. 2 clones rushed Shino, who let loose his bugs. The clones quickly dispersed as their chakra was drained and the bugs turned their attention to the blonde. The bugs that came near the blonde were burned alive as a fireball hit them courtesy of his one remaining clone. The two stood still as Shino tried to rush them. Blonde, who created 2 more clones and sent them at Shino after a short exchange where Shino was unable to get a hit in as the clones covered each other's weaknesses. Shino jumped back once more before looking to the proctor. I forfeit. Why? Because I am outmatched. My bugs cannot get near him without getting burned. The crowd clapped in polite applause as the proctor came forward. The winner of the Chunin exam finals is Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto saw the crowd explode into cheers, and when he felt a weird sensation all around him. He smoothed his chakra like so many times before while meditating and saw that all the civilians had fallen asleep. His head snapped to the cages as their booth exploded and he could see Sand and Sound Ninja attack his fellow Leaf allies. A purple barrier appeared over the cage's booth as Naruto heard the proctor tell him to get to his sensei for orders. Naruto jumped up to the stands where he was attacked by a Sound Ninja. Naruto ducked under a kunai swipe as he brought out his own before jamming it into the neck of the enemy. He spotted Lee and Hinata being protected by Kiba, Sakura, Ino, and Choji. He saw Kakashi and Guy above them taking care of threats to their students and Sasuke engaging with another Sand Ninja on the other side of the arena. The blonde saw a Sound Kunoichi race towards Hinata and Ino and he blurred into her path as he kicked her away while summoning a clone to take care of her. Kakashi looked at the gathered genin and saw Naruto had joined him. I want you all to take Lee and Hinata to the hospital and help any other ninja there in protecting it. I want you to help out any injured civilians you see along the way and escort them there. This isn't time to argue and play around, consider this an A-rank mission. The genins nodded and Ino and Sakura helped Lee and Hinata as the rest formed a protective circle. They were joined by Shino, Ten, and Shikamaru as the group moved to the hospital. On the way there, Naruto created 20 clones that spread out. He gave them orders to hide and ambush any enemy ninja they came across. Naruto took a glance back at the tower where the glowing purple barrier stood. Don't you die on me, old man. Naruto thought as he made his way to the hospital. The siege on the Leaf. There was only one way to describe the state of the village as Naruto and his teammates made their way to the hospital. Chaos. Pure and utter chaos. Everywhere Naruto looked he saw battles as Sound and Sand Ninja fought the outnumbered Leaf forces 3-1. He saw most of the Leaf Ninja engaging the enemies were Anbu along with the Jonin. Most of the regular forces were either evacuating or protecting valuable locations like the Hokage Tower or the village archive, as was normal protocol for such situations. Naruto let out a grimace as he noticed how slowly they were moving through the village streets. We're sitting ducks out here. So far they had rescued a total of 10 civilians that had been trapped under debris from damaged buildings or those who were too scared to move on their own. Naruto noticed a Sound Ninja land in front of the group going through some hand seals. The masked ninja brought his hand up to his face as he took a deep breath. Fire style. Fire bullet jutsu. Naruto cursed as he dashed to the front of the group as he ran through his own hand seals. Earth style. Mud wall jutsu. A wall of earth rose up protecting the group as the light of the fire could be seen from the other side of the earth wall. Naruto created 2 clones as he rushed up the side and around the wall. He rushed at the enemy ninja from different directions, catching the sound ninja off guard. Naruto took a closer look at his enemy and saw he was covered from head to toe in camouflage, with his hands and eyes being the only things not covered with clothing of some kind. One clone sprinted from the left as the other threw a shuriken. Naruto himself body flickered behind him as he jumped back to avoid the shuriken and the rushing clone. He was met with a kunai to the back of his head courtesy of the whiskered blonde. As the sound ninja fell, Naruto could see the light in his eyes get snuffed out as death claimed him. The blonde took a breath to compose himself as his stomach churned with discomfort as bile threatened to escape. "I can deal with my problems later, focus," Naruto whispered to himself. The earth wall fell as the group came forward. Most of his classmates stared at the dead body with a mixture of emotions. Many of the civilians lost their lunches, they were not used to such situations. The whole exchange lasted no more than 10 seconds. "Let's keep going." Nobody argued with the blonde, though the pace was significantly faster as many of the civilians picked up their pace, not wanting to be out in the open longer than necessary. Naruto stumbled and almost threw up again as he got the memories of some of his clones. So many dead bodies, Naruto thought as he saw himself ambush several ninjas in many different ways. Some used kunai, others used jutsu, but the blonde could remember every detail as they died. He also saw how he saved groups of civilians from attacking sound ninja, though some were not so lucky, and from what he could see, some of the sound ninjas liked to play with their victims. They're monsters, they're no better than the thugs Gato hired in Wave. Ino, who was in the middle of the group helping some of the injured moves, saw her fellow blonde stumble. "Are you alright?" Naruto didn't look at the platinum blonde as he responded, his eyes never stopping as he scanned the area for more enemies once he centered himself. "No, but I'll deal with it as soon as we're all safe." Ino nodded but still sent concerned glances at Naruto. Shino stepped up next to the blonde as he led the group to the hospital with Shikamaru. "I have sent a perimeter around us with my insects. It should give us ample warning to enemy movement and help us to avoid any more conflict. We're about 5 blocks away from the hospital," Shikamaru said to his 2 friends. "Right, we need to be more careful. If we've gotten lucky that the Anbu and the other higher-ranked Leaf Ninja have mostly cleared the area and are keeping the rest distracted." The 2 nodded as they went back to the right and left of the group respectively. Naruto traded places with Kiba, who was now leading the group so he could sniff out any threats, as the blonde went to the middle so he could more easily maneuver to confront any enemy that slipped by their defenses. The group made good progress and was a block away from the hospital when they heard giant explosions coming from the edges of the village. Naruto saw that there were giant 3-headed snakes attacking the walls as scores of sound ninja made their way inside the village. Naruto let out a curse as he created enough clones to carry all the civilians plus Hinata and Lee. "There's no point in going on foot to avoid the battles if we're going to be surrounded." Damn it. Naruto looked at the remaining genin. "Let's go, we don't want to be caught out here when the enemy reaches us." Naruto received various nods as the group made it to the hospital. It was surrounded by other genin and scores of chunin that were guarding the area. The injured were swiftly taken inside as the rest of the genin were set up as reserves if anyone got past the chunin guard. Naruto saw that the snakes were taken care of by Jiraiya, who had summoned some Gamabunta-sized toads. "Hey, we need a squad to come with us to search for more survivors." The blonde turned and saw a brown-haired chunin speaking to a group of chunins who were acting as a rear guard. Several chunins went forward to form squads, and Naruto himself also decided to volunteer so he could help out where he could. The chunin looked at the blonde before shrugging. The situation was dire and they needed all the help they could get. "Good. Right now the Leaf Village higher-ups are organizing a counterattack while the Jonin and the Anbu hold of the enemy. We shall pick up any civilians that maybe be out there and take any injured Leaf Ninja back here." The Chunin looked at Naruto for a second. "This is a serious situation. While we won't be actively engaging the enemy, there is no doubt fights will happen. I'll be fine, I can handle myself. The chunin grunted as he turned to the group of 10 chunin. Let's get moving. Remember that our top priority is evacuation, but don't hesitate to help out anyone in need. The group started making their way to the wall, and Naruto saw countless Jonin and Chunin come out of nowhere along with full squadrons of Anbu. They began to push the enemy beyond the wall of the village. It was half an hour later where Naruto had taken dozens of injured ninja away when he saw the barrier around the Hokage's booth fell. It was 10 minutes after the barrier fell that the enemy forces began retreating from the village. Naruto had killed 5 more enemies in the time since he left with the squad of Chunin. Naruto made his way to the hospital carrying a fellow leaf ninja on his back. It was some dark-haired Chunin who had been caught by an enemy's fire jutsu and had burns all over his body. The blonde dropped off the older ninja whose name he didn't know at the hospital and went back to continue looking. There was still a large amount of sound ninja who had stayed even after their sand allies left. He quickly found another leaf kunoichi fighting a group of 3 sound ninjas. She had wild brown hair with the rectangular face tattoos that were so famous in the Inuzuka clan. Naruto watched as she took a kunai to the leg, and he quickly created 5 clones as he cut off the closest sound ninja. He was wielding a tanto and he was about to stab the downed kunoichi. He brought out his kunai and the steel sparked as the blades meet. He held the man back as his clone picked up the women and backed away as Naruto's other clones tag-teamed their own targets. The blonde and the sound ninja broke their struggle as the older man rushed at the shorter blonde with a wide swing of his tanto. Naruto, seeing this, ducked under the swing only to be kneed in the face. It was only thanks to him listening to his instincts that he brought up his kunai to block a strike from the sound ninja. Naruto spun around, displacing his weight, making his enemy stumble forward as he slashed his knee. The sound dropped, unable to support his own weight as the blonde jammed his kunai into his neck and ripping it out. Naruto's body flickered beside another sound ninja, and as he and his clone both managed to stab him in the chest, he was taken by surprise, not expecting another blonde to show up, and his shock was visible in his eyes as he collapsed to the ground. He turned to the final sound ninja and saw his clone kill him before all of them dispelled. Naruto walked to where his first clone and the kunoichi were at. She had the same slit eyes as Kiba. She looked at the blonde with a wild smirk. Thanks for the save there. I usually have my ninja dogs fighting with me, but they got injured earlier and I was making my way back to the hospital to see if I could help anyone there as the fighting is dying down when that group managed to ambush me. My name's Hana Inuzuka. No problem, my name's Naruto Uzumaki. I've been helping wherever I can, taking any injured I see to the hospital. The two made their way to the hospital as more and more people showed up and medical tents were set up outside to take care of those who only had flesh wounds, as to leave the inside for those who truly needed it. It was already dusk when Naruto was given orders by the Jonin who had taken command of the area for all genin to go home and that they would all be gathered tomorrow early at the plaza to be given further orders. Naruto barely heard the man as he started walking to his home. A cold, numb feeling spread throughout his body. The news had started to spread recently, and the entire village received terrible news. The third Hokage had been killed in battle. The blonde entered his home and thanked his lucky stars it was intact. This area had been full of fighting and many buildings on the block had been damaged. There were plenty of people staying at the shelters for the next couple days as repairs were made from all over the village. Naruto made his way to his bed, and for the first time since he was a child, he truly cried. He let out the sorrow in his soul as he thought about the man he admired most, and he thought about the people he had killed, so he cried. The next days were spent mostly on autopilot for Naruto as he, along with other genin, patrolled the inside of the village as most chunin and jonin hunted down any sound ninja in the country. The sand village had been very quiet after the attack, and things were very tense between the two once allies. Naruto hadn't teamed up with anyone he knew during the patrols, and 5 days after the battle the village gathered for the third's funeral. Naruto was one of the first people to show up. He had seen Konohamaru with Ebisu and he walked next to him. The young Sarutobi took one glance at the blonde before throwing himself at him as he started to bawl. Naruto patted the younger boy's head as the two grieved as more and more people started to show up. It took several hours before the funeral was over. The sky began to darken as the rain started to fall. Naruto was headed home when he was tapped on his shoulder by his team sensei Kakashi. The two stared at each other as the rain pelted the two ninjas. "We'll be meeting at 7 tomorrow. How are you holding up?" Naruto looked at Kakashi before shrugging. "I'll live." With his quick reply, Naruto's body flickered away. He was in no mood to deal with his teammates right now. Naruto ended up wandering the village for a while as his mind wandered. All but the most necessary shops were closed for today as the village mourned. The village looked deserted as the rain kept pouring, and by now he had been walking for an hour. He was soaked to the bone. "Hey, Naruto." The blonde turned around as he spotted Ino behind him under an umbrella, still dressed in black from the funeral. "Hey." Ino walked closer to her fellow blonde as she brought her umbrella so it could cover both of them. "What are you doing out here? You're completely drenched." Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Ino could see how down her fellow blonde looked, so she took his arm and started dragging him to his home. They walked in silence with Naruto's gaze never leaving the black sky. They made it to the whiskered blonde's apartment as the winds began to pick up and went inside quickly. "Go take a shower before you get sick." Ino's tone was stern, and normally Naruto would put up more of a fight with being ordered around in his own home, but he didn't have it in him today. Naruto came back out to Ino carrying 2 cups of his instant ramen. Both blondes sat on the couch as they ate in silence. Eventually, Naruto put his empty cup down as he glanced at Ino. He took a moment before speaking. "Thanks." Naruto's voice was soft and quiet. "You're welcome." Ino's response was also quiet as she looked around the blonde's apartment. "How are you doing?" Naruto had to hold back tears as he thought about the third and all the lives he had taken. The events were still fresh in his mind, and today's funeral made everything real. "I'll be fine." The platinum blonde didn't believe Naruto if her face was anything to go by. She saw how he was shuddering slightly and his eyes clouded over as he tried his damnedest not to cry. Ino struggled internally before she brought him into a hug. Naruto stiffened for a moment before tears began to fall from his eyes. The two sat there for some time before the blondes separated. "You know, the third was the only person I had growing up. When I was younger, some things happened at the orphanage I was staying at that forced me to come live by myself." Ino listened closely as the blonde spoke about the third. "He would come by whenever he could to check on me." Naruto let out a small watery smile. "It was a surreal experience to me at the time. Any adult I would meet would ignore me, and all the children were told by their parents to stay away. Having him there was like seeing color for the first time. I asked him why he cared about me one day when he visited. It just didn't make any sense to me, who had been ignored by all others, that this man would show such love." Do you know what his answer was? Naruto turned to look at Ino, who shook her head. "He told me that it was because he was Hokage and that the entire village was his family. I didn't really know what the Hokage was at the time, but I wanted to be it. Can you imagine it? Having an entire village as your family. It was an amazing dream. As I grew, I learned what the Hokage was and what they did. My dream never changed, but my reason did. I originally wanted to be Hokage because then I'd have a massive family, and as a 6-year-old orphan that was an amazing concept. When I got older I wanted to be Hokage so I could protect him, so I could protect the Ichirakus who feed me on days I didn't have enough money because I mismanaged it." Naruto looked at Ino, who was staring intently at him. "But I failed. He was my hero and I wasn't there to help him when he needed it the most." Naruto clenched his fist in self-hate. "You can't blame yourself for that, Naruto. From what I heard, even the Anbu couldn't get through that weird purple barrier. There was nothing any of us could have done." Ino brought the blonde into another hug. "He would be proud of you. I just miss him so much." Naruto's voice was soft as he said this. He looked at his fellow blonde as he spoke. "Thank you, Ino. You're welcome. The two sat there quietly as the storm outside continued to rage on, and eventually the two fell asleep as the day's fatigue took its toll. The two blondes woke up the next morning with Ino resting her head on Naruto's shoulder and the whiskered blonde resting his head on hers. Ino groaned as she saw had fallen asleep. My parents are going to kill me. Naruto got up and stretched as he made his way over to the kitchen and started making breakfast. He looked at the other blonde who sprawled herself on his couch. Do you want any eggs? Ino groaned again before responding. Scrambled, please. Naruto nodded. Do you want me to talk to your parents so you don't get in trouble? Ino just shook her head vigorously. No, I can handle it. If Daddy finds out I spent the night at a boy's house, he'll kill us both. I'll just tell him I spent the night at Sakura's. Naruto nodded again, and then after the two ate they left. It was 8:30 by then. Naruto stopped just outside his apartment and turned to Ino. Thanks again, Ino. I really needed to talk to someone last night. Ino just nodded before hugging Naruto, who returned the hug. Don't mention it. The blonde separated from the hug as Ino had a stern face on. Seriously though, don't say anything. If my dad finds out, I'll be grounded until I'm 30. Naruto nodded as the two split ways and Naruto made his way to Training Ground 7. The blonde took his time to get to the training ground, looking around, seeing how the village was almost done with the outer repairs. The village walls that had been knocked down by Orochimaru's summons were already fixed, with the bulk of the workforce fixing the housing situation. He arrived at the bridge near Training Ground 7 and saw Sasuke and Sakura just staring off into space. Weird, thought Naruto before sitting some distance away from the two. While he and his team were waiting, Sakura, who had finally noticed the Naruto, sent a small wave to the blonde and he responded with a polite nod. This caught the attention of Sasuke, who scowled hard when he saw him. The two stared at each other before the Avenger scoffed and turned to look away, a dark look crossing his face. It was 10 minutes later that Naruto was pulled from his thoughts by his teammate, who had walked to stand in front of the blonde. Fight me. The blonde looked at Sasuke and saw an intense look in his eye. It was the same look he had in the Forest of Death. No. His reply was cold and lacked any emotion. Sakura looked on with concern dancing in her eyes. Why not? You scared? Sasuke taunted the blonde. And why would I be scared of fighting you? The blonde's eyes had frozen over in anger and Sasuke activated his Sharingan. Why hello my cute little Genins. Kakashi appeared in front of his team, breaking the tension that had been building up. Sakura looked relieved and the male members of Team 7 looked away with a huff. You're late, Kakashi. Naruto said, his patience with his team suddenly gone thanks to the confrontation with his raven-haired teammate. On my way here, a giant sea tortoise needed help finding the bathroom and I just had to help. Sakura sweat dropped at her sensei's excuse. Naruto rubbed the bridge of his nose, and Sasuke glared at their sensei. Enough. Are we going to do any training today? Sasuke looked expectantly at his sensei. No, all genin are to report to the mission office. You'll be assigned missions for the next week in the village while the higher-ups deal with the fallout of the Sand Sound invasion. I myself will be going on a mission later today and won't be back for at least 3 days. Naruto saw his raven-haired teammates frown deepen. Naruto, first congratulations on winning the tournament. The blonde nodded. You're required to be at the Hokage's office in 20 minutes. Anyway, we'll resume team practice and missions a week from now. Later, Kakashi disappeared in a puff of smoke as an awkward silence fell onto the trio. Sasuke teasked and shoved his hands in his pockets before he left. Sakura looked on as Sasuke walked away and Naruto took the chance to body flicker away himself. Naruto made it to the Hokage's tower where he was led into the office. He saw the third's old advisors Koharu Udatane and Homura Mitokado alongside Jiraiya. Genin Uzumaki, welcome, said Udatane. Naruto bowed to the elders, internally grimacing at having to be formal but figured it was for the best. He knew the two were very old-fashioned. Hello, Elder Udatane, Elder Mitokado. You called for me. The two elders nodded back. Yes, We have tasked Jiraiya with the mission to go find his old teammate Tsunade so she can become the 5th Hokage. We were going to send a team of Anbu with him, but he insisted you go with him instead. Naruto looked at the white-haired man surprised. That's right, kiddo, but before that, here, this belongs to you. Jiraiya threw a scroll at Naruto, who caught it and opened it. His eyes widened when the scroll exploded in smoke, and out of the smoke fell out a forest green flak jacket that the blonde caught with both his hands. I got promoted, was the shocked reply of the blonde. Elder Mitokado cleared her throat to bring the blonde's attention to her. That's right, we along with the Ninja Council decided to promote you for your performance in the Chunin exam and your services during the attack. We received various reports on your actions from many of our ninja that you saved. The blonde swallowed thickly as he took off his burnt orange hoodie and put on his new flak jacket. I need to add some orange to my outfit, thought Naruto as he saw his reflection. Jiraiya took the opportunity to pat the blonde on the back. Enjoy it, you deserved it. The old man would be proud. Naruto's eyes watered slightly as he blinked and nodded with determination. We'll be leaving at noon, so you have 2 hours to get your gear ready and meet me at the gate. Make sure to pack for about 2 weeks of travel. I don't expect to be gone that long, but it never hurts to be prepared. Right. I'll see you there. Naruto saluted the elders as he went to his apartment to get his supplies ready. As Naruto was walking through the shopping district, he saw a flash of orange in the corner of his eye. When he turned to look, he saw an orange sash about 3 feet long in a discount bin. Naruto quickly picked it up and paid for it at the register when he was inside. Naruto looked at himself in the mirror. I look good, Naruto thought as he saw the orange sash now tied around his waist. He was wearing his black pants and sandals. His newly acquired chunin vest a lighter tone to his dark green shirt along with his long black headband that replaced his old one. Naruto made it to his house, ate a quick lunch before he set off to the gate with his supplies sealed in a storage scroll he made as practice for learning the kanji necessary for the 5-element seal. He was almost to the gate when he spotted Team 8 doing work clearing some debris off a house that had been recently repaired. The hole in the house was fixed, but the new wood had not been painted yet. As he got closer, Kiba, who had just dumped some trash in the nearby container, looked at him, rubbed his eyes and looked at him again. Holy shit, you got promoted. Kiba's yell had brought the attention of his sensei and his teammates. Kiba, long. Kiba apologized to his sensei as his teammate came closer to the blonde, who simply waved at all of them. Congratulations, Naruto. You are worthy of your new position. Naruto nodded slightly at Shino. Geez, always so serious, thought Naruto. Thanks, Shino, they just told me this morning. See, congratulations, and Naruto. Naruto turned to the shy Hyuga and gave her a small smile. Thanks, Hinata. I'm sorry I wasn't able to see you after everything got crazy, but how are you feeling? I'm fine. Most of my injuries are healed. Naruto nodded at the slightly red-faced girl. I can't believe they promoted you before any of us. Man, the world is unfair. Naruto just ignored the Inuzuka as he wallowed in despair. Kurenai smacked her genin before turning to the newly promoted Chunin. Did they assign you a mission yet? I know that almost everyone has been asked to take more missions, as a lot of the Anbu and Jonin are being sent to the border for the next couple days to patrol the borders until the negotiations with the Sand are done. Naruto nodded. Yeah, I'm leaving now. I'm supposed to be at the main gate by noon. The raven-haired Jonin nodded before Team 8 said their goodbyes and Naruto made it to the gate minutes before noon. Good. I'm glad you didn't pick up Kakashi's bad habit of always being late. Jiraiya was leaning against the giant gate. Let's go. If we hurry, we can make it to the next town by nightfall. Naruto nodded as he followed Jiraiya as they jumped through the trees. Naruto and Jiraiya had been traveling for an hour, jumping from tree to tree when Jiraiya stopped and jumped down to the main road and signaled Naruto to join him. Alright, we're about an hour's walking distance from Shukuba town. I promised to help you train after the exams and I plan to start that when we get to town. First I'll need to speak to some contacts of mine to pick up on Tsunade's trail and then we can begin. Naruto nodded along before something popped into his head. So, do you have a picture of what she looks like? Jiraiya grinned as he reached into his shirt and brought out a picture. Naruto took a look at the picture of a blonde woman wearing a gray shirt and green coat. I meant a picture of her currently, not of her 30 years ago. Jiraiya just grinned harder. Kid, this picture is from 6 months ago. The blonde's eyes widened as he looked at the picture, then back to Jiraiya. How the hell does she look like that when you look like? Naruto paused and gestured to all of Jiraiya. You. Jiraiya got a tick mark on his forehead. First of all, I'll have you know that the ladies think I'm roguishly handsome, and as for your question, Tsunade uses a very advanced genjutsu to make herself look younger. That's weird. Well, what are her most common hangouts then? Where will we start searching? She will most likely be at the local bars or casinos. Naruto made a face at that, but Jiraiya ignored him. Either way, there are a couple big gambling towns near Shukuba town. Once I talk to my contact, we'll head off early tomorrow morning. Man, what a weird bunch. One's a snake freak with an obsession with Sasuke and the other is a gambling drunk. Thought Naruto as he looked at Jiraiya. At least Jiraiya is somewhat normal. The duo made it to the town, were making their way to a hotel when a woman with a very revealing kimono came up to Jiraiya. Naruto noticed she had blonde hair and a bountiful chest. Weird, she kinda looks like Tsunade. The blonde Chuunin watched as the women flirted with Jiraiya, who was beginning to drool over the woman as he let out a perverted giggle when the woman pushed his arm between her breasts. Great. He's a pervert. First Kakashi and now him. At least Jiraiya goes for real women. Thought Naruto with a sigh. Hey kid, why don't you go find a hotel room for us? I'll be back later. Jiraiya waved the blonde away as he walked away deeper into the town, the blonde woman basically hanging off the white-haired Sannin. The Chunin just let out a sigh and quickly found a hotel and rented a room for the night. Might as well do something productive. The blonde thought as he sat in the bed and started meditating. It didn't take long for the blonde to feel the familiar sensation of being pulled into the seal. I see you finally got over your pathetic brooding. Naruto turned around to look at the giant fox, already used to his abrasive personality from coming to talk to him on an almost daily basis during the month of training. Yeah, I lost myself in pity there for a second, but I'm back now. Naruto smiled at the fox, who simply snorted. You did adequately against the container of my brother, but don't get complacent. He was weak compared to the others. Shukaku drives all his hosts mad with insomnia, but there are others who work alongside their hosts, like the Eight Tails. If you encounter him at your current level, you would perish. I remember that his host could use all his powers perfectly and even become the Eight Tails itself. Naruto nodded, taking the news as motivation to train harder than he had been. How did you meet the container for the Eight Tails? The great fox looked down at the blonde as he studied him. I met him when he fought my previous container. Naruto looked shocked at that. You had a previous container. Who was it? How did you get out? The Nine Tails looked angry, his chakra becoming oppressive as the blonde began to have difficulties breathing. I was released by one of those accursed Uchiha. He used the twisted eye of his to take control of me. The giant fox stood up during his rant before laying back down, his head resting on his left hand. He is the reason I was rampaging in the first place. As for your other question, ask the white-haired one you're traveling with, he will answer your questions. Naruto nodded, breathing easier as the chakra receded. I'm sorry they did that. It must be horrible to go from one prison to another because someone took control of you. There was a long silence as the fox studied the blonde. The fox suddenly looked up as a growl escaped his throat. I feel 2 strong chakra signatures with vile intentions coming to your room. Naruto looked alarmed before his eyes hardened. Thanks for the heads up. The fox didn't say anything before started channeling chakra. You can't win against them. I'll grant you some of my chakra so you don't die and drag me with you. You need to leave and find the pervert. Thank you. You'll tell me your name someday. I can't just keep calling you Nine Tails. Naruto smiled at the fox as he awoke from his meditation. His attention was brought to the door as he heard a quiet knock. Naruto quickly went to the window and jumped away, going for the edge of town as he summoned 30 clones to spread out to look for Jiraiya. Naruto made it to a clearing at the edge of town when his eyes widened and ducked. Naruto felt the wind howl above him as it was displaced by a giant bandage-covered sword. It was thanks only to listening to his instincts that the blonde had managed to dodge what would have most likely been a debilitating blow. Naruto jumped forward, and as he turned around he saw 2 people standing behind him. The taller of the 2 was the one with the sword that had almost taken him out. He had grayish-blue skin and dark blue hair. He had what appeared to be gills on his neck. The shorter of the 2 had long black hair with some very distinctive red eyes with 3 comas spinning around his pupil. Shit! Itachi Uchiha! Naruto cursed as he saw the kin slayer. The 2 were wearing identical black cloaks with red clouds on them. Hello, Naruto. I'm going to need you to come with us. His voice was smooth and lacked any and all emotion. Naruto started sweating, trying to think of strategies to escape this dire situation. Hey Itachi, look at that. The brat's a chunin. I guess out information was wrong. Wasn't he supposed to be the loud-mouthed dead last with an orange obsession? Naruto saw the man's teeth were sharp like Zabuza's had been when he grinned at the blonde. It doesn't matter if he were a Jonin Kisame, it doesn't change our mission. Itachi replied. Hey, I guess you're right. Maybe I should cut his legs off so he doesn't run anymore. Naruto jumped back as he summoned 10 clones. 5 rushed the duo as 3 popped immediately, covering Naruto as he and his remaining clones from the Uchiha's eyes. He and his clones quickly went through hand seals. Fire style. Great fireball jutsu. Naruto shouted as his clones performed a wind jutsu to enhance the blonde's fireball. Wind style. Great breakthrough. The jutsus mixed, creating a blazing inferno that raced at the 2 rogues. Kisame smirked as he ran through his own hand seals, and the fire was met with a massive wall of water. The entire area was filled with steam as a result of the 2 elements clashing. Naruto bit his thumb and went through the required seals for his summon. Summoning jutsu. A human-sized toad appeared with a green vest and 2 swords strapped to its back. Gamashiro, I need you to help me deal with an enemy swordsman. The green toad nodded at his summoner. Of course Naruto, I shall help with the best of my abilities. Naruto and Gamashiro jumped back as the giant club sword came down between them. Hiding in the mist. A rather poor choice, brat. I was never as good as Zabuza with silent killing, but every single one of the 7 swordsmen learned to use it. Naruto cursed as he created a clone to blow away the mist as he gathered earth chakra into his right arm, tuning it black. The clone used breakthrough and Kisame covered his face from the wind. Naruto punched with all his might only to be blocked as Kisame brought up his sword. Naruto stood still, seeing his attack didn't do anything, and then he sensed that the sword was eating his chakra, his hand returning to its normal coloring. The blonde recoiled as he felt a sharp sensation on his fist. He looked down and saw it was bleeding. Gamashiro took the opportunity to try and slash Kisame, only have to jump back from a fireball from Itachi. Looks like Samahata doesn't like your chakra all too much. Seems he finds it a bit heavy. There was an angry yell and everyone's attention was brought to the edge of the clearing as Sasuke ran in. Itachi. Finally, I've trained for years and spent countless hours imagining this day. I have embraced my hatred for you, and now finally I'll avenge our family. The younger Uchiha glared with his Sharingan active as he charged his Chidori. Die! Sasuke screamed as he ran at Itachi at full speed, his Chidori leaving a trail of destruction in the ground. That idiot! Naruto yelled internally as he tried to intercept the 2, only to be met with a grinning Kisame who dashed in front of him as the blue-skinned man swung his sword. Not so fast, brat. That ain't our fight. Naruto crossed his arms as he channeled all the earth chakra possible into his arms, as well as unleashing the chakra the 9 tails had given him. A shroud of bubbling red chakra formed around him as a single tail appeared behind him. He was hit by the blade and he could feel the sharp spikes dig into his arm as he was sent flying back. his chakra shroud completely gone along with the earth chakra he had used to coat his arms. Naruto skidded to a stop as he watched Itachi grab Sasuke's wrist as he held the Chidori away from himself. Foolish little brother, you lack the proper hatred to match me. Only when you acquire the same eyes as I have, will you be able to properly challenge me. Itachi slammed a fist into Sasuke's gut, causing the younger Uchiha to double over as his Chidori dissipated. Itachi grabbed his brother by the collar as he lifted him up to eye level and whispered, Tsukuyomi. 3 seconds later Itachi dropped the now unconscious Sasuke to the ground. Naruto cursed his teammate in his head. Now I think it's time we left. Don't make this harder than it has to be, Naruto. Naruto saw that Itachi was now standing next to Kisame and that he had a clear path to reach Sasuke. Damn it, where the hell is Jiraiya? Thought Naruto as he began to channel as much chakra as possible as he creates 100 clones who each start going through different hand seals. Naruto body flickered to Sasuke as some clones had charged the dangerous duo to distract them. Naruto saw that multiple walls of earth sprang up on 3 directions, trapping the duo in a funnel as the rest of his clones start unleashing everything they have. Lightning style. Electromagnetic murder. Wind style. Great breakthrough. Quote. Water style. Raging waves. Fire style. Great fireball jutsu. Ninja arts. Shuriken shadow clone jutsu. Naruto used up most of his remaining chakra as he body flickered away with Sasuke as a giant explosion overtook the clearing. He looked back to see the once green clearing was now a crater as smoke slowly dissipated. Naruto grit his teeth as he heard a whistle from directly in the middle of the smoke. Damn Itachi, the kid can pack a hell of a punch. Naruto saw that the two looked unharmed except for that they were now wet. I gotta admit, kid, had you done that against anyone else that might have worked. Naruto let out a curse as he was now out of chakra and had to drag his teammate along too. That's far enough, Akatsuki. You won't be getting Naruto. Naruto sighed in relief as Jiraiya jumped down between the two pairs. So it was you who told Kakashi the name of our organization. Itachi said as he gazed at the old Sannin. Naruto saw a green blur as Kisame raised Samahata to block a kick. Guy backflipped as he disengaged from Kisame and stood in his strong fist stance. Hello Lord Jiraiya, I have come to help you deal with these two most unyouthful fellows. Jiraiya simply nodded as he watched the Akatsuki duo, unwilling to look away from them even for a second. Kisame, let's go. It has become too difficult to capture the 9 tails with both Jiraiya of the Sannin and Might Guy here. Itachi said as he looked at the 2-leaf Jonin. And it was just about to get fun too. Alright, we'll see you around, brat. Naruto watched as the 2 missing ninjas left. He let out a sigh as he laid down, exhausted from the whole ordeal. Guy went over to Sasuke to pick him up. I will take him back with me to the leaf. He managed to find out Itachi confronted Kakashi along with Kurenai and Asuma. Someone let it slip they were looking for young Naruto here. Said blonde just looked on as Jiraiya made a grim face. It can't be helped, just get him back and make sure he doesn't run off on a suicide quest again. Guy nodded as he left with Sasuke on his back. Naruto and Jiraiya walked back to the inn slowly. Tomorrow I'll have you start working on a new jutsu. For tonight, why don't you just rest up? We'll leave early tomorrow morning after I give you the basics to the jutsu. Naruto didn't say anything until they were both back in the hotel room. Jiraiya saw that the blonde was unusually quiet and was honestly shocked by the question that came out of his mouth. Who was the container of the 9 tails before me? Jiraiya looked at the blonde as a deadly serious frown marred his face. Where did you learn about the other containers? Naruto put a hand over his stomach. The 9 tails. We were discussing how he ended up sealed in me and he mentioned someone breaking him out of his old host. He told me to ask you about the identity of the person. Jiraiya looked surprised at the mention of communicating with the giant fox and rubbed the bridge of his nose. I'll tell you when we get back to the village, along with some other information. I would have told you before you left, but the need to find Tsunade as soon as possible overshadowed that possibility. Naruto frowned but nodded in understanding. He was assuming that the news must be very sensitive and not be shared in some random hotel room in some town. Alright, but I want to know about them. Naruto had caught that Jiraiya had said containers and not a container. I will, kid, I promise. Why don't we turn in for the night? It's been an eventful day. The blonde nodded and soon the two were out for the night. The two-toed summoners left just as the sun rose. Jiraiya had brought out a water balloon and held it in front of the blonde's face. The first step to learning the jutsu is to pop this water balloon with only your chakra. Jiraiya demonstrated as the blonde watched as the balloon started to bubble before popping. You need to do this by spinning the water inside the balloon at an immense speed. Naruto nodded as Jiraiya threw him a balloon. So what is the jutsu you're teaching me? The toad sage grinned as walked closer to a tree. Watch closely, I'm about to show you a technique invented by the fourth himself. Naruto saw that the older man held his hand out as chakra gathered and spun in countless directions as it formed a sphere. Rasengan. Naruto saw the rasengan tear through the tree like paper as the tree fell. It was essentially ripped in half at the base. That's one nasty jutsu, thought Naruto as he imagined it being performed on a person. That is what you are learning. There are 3 steps to learning the rasengan and the water balloon is the first step. You can work on that while we walk to the next town. My contacts in Shukuba town said that they spotted Tsunade heading there just 2 days ago, so we're in luck. She usually stays in a town for at least 2 weeks and we're 3 days walk from there. The place is called Tanzaku Town. It's well known for its casinos. Naruto nodded and the two began their journey. Naruto would pin the chakra and saw how it would become an oval shape and he stopped spinning it. It doesn't look at all how Jiraiya did it. Naruto thought as he remembered when he saw him form the rasengan that it was spinning in many ways. That's right. It didn't just spin one way, it was spinning in a bunch of directions. With the new revelation, Naruto tried and noticed it became significantly harder to spin the water with it trying to move in many different ways and it would barely bubble. Naruto managed to pop the balloon by nightfall of the second day of traveling. He had spent every waking moment trying to perfect the speed of the spinning water. Good job. You managed to do that remarkably fast. Jiraiya praised the blonde when he noticed he had completed the first step. Thanks. I had trouble spinning the water in multiple directions at first. Jiraiya nodded as he brought out a rubber ball. The next step is to pop the rubber ball using the same technique you learned popping the water balloon. This step is all about power where the last one was all about speed. Here you go. Naruto caught the ball Jiraiya tossed and he looked at it. Power, huh? Alright. Naruto thought as he began to add more and more chakra as he began spinning it inside the balloon and after 10 seconds it exploded sending both Jiraiya and Naruto to their backs as they had been sitting on some log making camp. Jiraiya stood up with a look of shock as he pointed at the blonde. How? What? Naruto raised an eyebrow at the white-haired man. This step was all about power. Power means chakra, and I have that in spades. After a minute of pointing, Naruto began to develop a tick mark. If you're done gawking, what's the final step of the jutsu? Jiraiya calmed down as he brought out a balloon. You're lucky I came so prepared, though now I have about 10 rubber balls I don't need. Jiraiya lamented as he blew air into the balloon. This is the final step, said the sage as he held the balloon out. Naruto didn't see anything wrong with the balloon until he remembered that the rasengan fit the palm of Jiraiya's hand when he used it. I have to control the chakra into a sphere so it doesn't break the balloon. Jiraiya nodded with a smile. That's right, the final step is all about control. You combine the first 2 steps but instead of letting it run wild you contain it in a compact form. This is what makes the jutsu so deadly. Naruto saw Jiraiya form a second rasengan in his other hand to show that the rasengan had to reside in the balloon without damaging it. This is going to be the toughest part of learning the jutsu. So here, get started. Naruto was handed a packet of 50 blow-up balloons and he considered using shadow clones to speed up progress. No, once I run out of balloons I can't train until we reach town again. So with that Naruto began the final step of learning the rasengan. After an hour of trying he was told by Jiraiya to sleep as they would be heading out early tomorrow. The two had reached Tanzaku town by noon the next day and Naruto left the remaining balloons he had with him with clones in a clearing near the town as he and Jiraiya started their search for Tsunade. Naruto sent out 10 clones to search the casinos and bars and after an hour of fruitless effort, they stopped at a random restaurant. Oh, you've got to be kidding me, thought an annoyed Naruto as he spotted Tsunade along with a dark-haired woman with a pig eating at one of the stalls. Out of all the places I checked she ends up being in not some bar or casino but a family restaurant. Hey there princess, long time no see, and it's good to see you too Shizune. Jiraiya's remark brought the attention of the two ladies as Tsunade let out a small groan. Seems like today is full of nostalgia. First Orochimaru and now you. The two males frowned at the mention of the snake Chunin. What do you want Jiraiya, you didn't track me down for old time's sake. Jiraiya sat in the booth directly in front of Tsunade as Naruto himself sat in front of the now identified Shizune. I'll cut to the chase then, the elders and the council want you to become the next Hokage. Naruto watched as the older blonde took a sip of her drink. So then sensei really is dead. Naruto felt a pang of sadness at the mention of the third. Yes, he is. Well, I refuse. That hat is a death trap. Naruto glared at the women as Jiraiya continued to talk. Tsunade, we could really use you. Not only as a Hokage but as a medic, we have a lot of injuries that only you can heal. Jiraiya tried to plead to his old teammate. No, I swore I would never return to the village. So go back to the elders and tell them they can forget about me becoming Hokage. It's a fool's job anyway. Anyone who wears that hat will just throw their life away needlessly. Naruto started to leak some killing intent unknowingly as his anger started to rise. Tsunade noticed and raised a brow at the blonde. What? Got something to say pipsqueak? Naruto took a deep breath to calm himself down. The third risked his life so that others could continue living their lives in peace, just like all the other Hokages have done. They didn't throw their lives away for nothing, they sacrificed them so others could have better futures. I don't know who the hell you think you are to belittle what they died for, but you clearly have no idea why they fought. Tsunade looked pissed. I am the granddaughter of the first Hokage and the grandniece of the second. I lost all my loved ones to that damn hat, so don't go around thinking you know what I went through. Naruto's eyes darkened as he stared at the female Chunin. You think you're the only person that lost loved ones? I would think you if all people would understand why they did what they did. You're just an old pathetic drunk who can't get over herself. Jiraiya put a hand on the Chunin's shoulder to sit him back down as he had stood up in his rant. Watch your mouth brat or I'll put you in the hospital. Tsunade glared and Naruto returned the glare with equal vigor. That surprised both Jiraiya and Shizune. Make me. Tsunade stood up and pointed to the door. Alright, tough guy, let's handle this outside. Naruto followed the woman outside as Jiraiya and Shizune got up to try and talk them out of it. Kid, are you sure about this? She's no pushover. She may be rusty but she can still wipe the floor with you. Naruto kept walking as he didn't pay attention to his white-haired sensei. I'll be merciful. I'll only use one finger to beat you. Naruto said nothing as he nodded. Fine, I'll start then. Tsunade slammed her finger into the ground and caused a big crack to run along the road that made the earth shake. The whiskered blonde regained his balance and he rushed the older blonde while channeling earth chakra into his fist. It turned black as the earth chakra concentrated in his arm and he swung. Tsunade raised a finger to block but let out a surprised yelp as she was sent skidding back. Naruto used the opening to summon 3 clones. One clone jumped up and brought an axe kick down on the blonde Chunin who flicked the clone away. The other 2 rushed her as the original Naruto jumped back as he took out some shuriken and threw them. The 2 clones popped and covered Tsunade's line of sight as she heard the younger blonde shout. Ninja arts. Shuriken shadow clone jutsu. The Chunin quickly slammed her fist into the ground as a slab of earth rose up to block the dozens of shuriken that came at her. So much for using a single finger, huh? Tsunade turned her head as she heard the chunin mock her as he stood off to the side. Tisk. You got lucky. No, you just suck. The whiskered blonde responded as the blonde Sanin growled. Why do you even care so much? Tsunade said as she dashed at the blonde. Because I'm going to be Hokage and protect the people of the leaf. The blonde exploded in a cloud of smoke, showing he was a shadow clone. Tsunade saw a shadow above her and looked up, ready to flick Naruto away, only to freeze for a second before she jumped back, avoiding his attack. Rasengan. The rasengan he used destabilized and caused a spiral to appear on the street. Tsunade, seeing the jutsu, turned to Jiraiya. I can't believe you taught that jutsu to this brat. You even taught him sensei's shuriken jutsu. Jiraiya simply shook his head. No, I didn't teach him sensei's jutsu to him. He did it himself before he died. Tsunade looked shocked. And as for teaching him the rasengan, I did it because I believe in his dream. Both Naruto and Tsunade were stunned for different reasons. Naruto felt touched that Jiraiya believed in him, and Tsunade was reminded of the passion her loved ones had for being Hokage. But she was also reminded of the fire both her sensei and grandfather had when battling for the village. Fine, how about a bet then? Naruto looked back at the blonde woman. What bet? If you master the rasengan by the end of the week, I'll come back with you and at least hear out the council and deal with the injured. If you can't, you can forget about me coming back. Jiraiya was about to speak, but Naruto beat him to it. Deal. The blonde Sanin nodded before grabbing her green crystal necklace. To make things more interesting, I'll throw in my grandfather's necklace and you'll throw in your wallet. Naruto just nodded again before Jiraiya stepped up. Alright, I think that's enough for one day. Go find a hotel for us, Naruto. I'll find you later. Naruto nodded reluctantly, remembering how things went last time he left with a busty blonde. Shizune, you go back too. Show the brat where the hotel is, I need to catch up with Jiraiya. Shizune nodded. Of course, Lady Tsunade. The pairs split off as Shizune went to show Naruto where the hotel was. Naruto felt the last of his clone's memories, who had been working on perfecting the rasengan, come to him, and he smirked as he followed the raven-haired woman to their destination. Naruto and Shizune walked at a steady pace as they made their way to the hotel in the center of town. You shouldn't judge her too hard. Lady Tsunade has had a hard life. I'm surprised she even put that necklace on the line for your bet. Shizune had spoken in defense of her master. What's so special about the necklace aside from the sentimental value? Asked the curious blonde. The raven-haired woman took a moment to respond as the pair made their way through the crowds of people. That necklace is cursed. The blonde raised an eyebrow at the older woman, a silent prompt for her to explain. She received that necklace when her grandfather, Lord Hashirama, died during the First War. She passed down the necklace to her younger brother Naoki when he told her his dream was to become Hokage like their grandfather. The blonde's eyebrow stayed raised. It was a way to show him that he believed in his dream. This was right at the beginning of the Second War. Tsunade's brother Naoki died the very next day. Naruto stayed silent as he listened to the story, occasionally nodding to show that he was paying attention. This caused her to advocate for at least one medical ninja to be on a squad to prevent more battlefield deaths. She campaigned for her cause for months, but the council said it would be too difficult to train new medics properly, especially during a war. She was in a horrible depression for months until she met my Uncle Dan. The two shared the same goal of having a medical ninja on every squad. My mother had died on a mission, and Uncle Dan always blamed himself for not being there to heal her when she got hurt. He agreed with Lady Tsunade that if every squad had a healer, many lives could be saved. They dated for a year before becoming engaged. Shizune took another breath before continuing her tale. Eventually, Uncle Dan told Lady Tsunade about his dream of being Hokage. Naruto was starting to see a pattern. She gave him her necklace one final time to show her support of his dream. Shizune had a sad smile on her face. He died in her arms a week later. His team had managed to drag him back to the Leaf Village gates where Lady Tsunade began to heal him after his squad was attacked. She managed to stop his bleeding, but it was too late. He had lost too much blood. Lady Tsunade developed hemophobia after that moment, a fear of blood. Naruto frowned when he heard that. So now Lady Tsunade thinks anyone who isn't her that wears the necklace will die. Smart. Either she wins, takes my money and never sees me, or she gives me a necklace that will kill me. Shizune started waving her arms around in a panic. No, it's just that you remind her of them. Your dream of being Hokage must have made her nostalgic. She wouldn't try to curse you. Naruto waved her off. I was kidding, I don't believe in something like a curse. It doesn't change anything though. At the end of the day, she gave up instead of continuing to fight for her dream and mocked all her loved ones when she spits on the title of Hokage. The two were quiet as they made it to the hotel. There were people of various ages scurrying along as Naruto rented a room for the next couple of days. If it makes you feel better, I'll prove the curse wrong when I win the bet. Shizune, who had been in a somber mood, smiled as she made her way to her room, as her pig following behind her. Naruto went to a nearby store once he had seen his room. He bought 4 packs of 100 balloons and went to a clearing close to town. Naruto created 50 clones and handed them a bag of balloons. Naruto himself started working on his physical training to work on his speed as he thought of all his recent encounters. First Orochimaru, then Itachi and Kisame. I can't keep up with them. If they hadn't been playing around with me, I'd be dead. The whiskered blonde spent the remaining daylight out in the clearing training. At sundown, the blonde dispelled all his clones and tested a rasengan to see how far he had gotten. Naruto saw he could form the rasengan in about 5 seconds, could hold it together for another 15 before it destabilized. Good job, kid. It took me 6 months to learn that jutsu and the fourth 3 years to make. Jiraiya was on top of a boulder with his notebook out as he wrote. Looks like you won the bet on the first day. Naruto shook his head at Jiraiya's statement. No, I need to perfect this jutsu. I need to be able to form it in a second and have it stabilized indefinitely. Jiraiya let out a whistle at the blonde's remark. That's a lofty goal. Under normal circumstances, it would take months to do that, and you only have till the end of the week, which I remind you is 3 days from now. Naruto didn't say anything as he formed 10 clones and dispelled them as he raised his eyebrow at Jiraiya, who had a sweat drop forming on his head. Right, your shadow clone training. Let's go to the hotel for the night and rest up. Right, let's go. Naruto returned to the clearing for the next 2 days as he continued to train physically while his clones worked on forming the rasengan. With the abuse of the shadow clone, Naruto had managed to form the rasengan in 1.5 seconds and could hold it for 10 minutes straight. The training was pure chakra manipulation and was doing wonders for his control. Naruto meditated every night before bed and would try to coax his tenant into conversations. They were very one-sided as the fox rarely spoke. Naruto was in his room meditating when he was awakened from his meditation when his sensei entered the room. I'll be back later, kid. I'm going to go eat out with Tsunade tonight. Naruto barely acknowledged the old toad sage as he left, and soon after the blonde fell asleep. Naruto woke up when he sensed someone enters his hotel room. Not happening again, thought the blonde as he moved swiftly and grabbed the kunai he had stashed under his pillow. He jumped out of his bed and pushed the intruder into the wall with the kunai descending to the intruder's neck. The kunai stopped a millimeter from their jugular as Naruto saw who the intruder was. Shizune, what are you doing here? You're not trying to kill me, are you? The raven-haired woman was wide-eyed as she stared at the blonde in shock. Lady Tsunade is on her way to meet Orochimaru. I was trying to find Lord Jiraiya, but I couldn't find him anywhere. Naruto grit his teeth in anger at the mention of the snake Chunin. We need to go after her. Orochimaru is hurt from his fight with Lord Third and sought her out to heal him. Naruto quickly changed from his sleepwear into his regular clothes. The two found Jiraiya slumped in the hallway. Lord Jiraiya, are you okay? Shizune rushed over to the white-haired Sanin. I'm fine. Tsunade slipped a drug into my drink last night. It's thrown my chakra control out of whack. Shizune placed her glowing green hands on his chest. I've accelerated the healing of the poison, but it's all I can do for now. Jiraiya nodded at the dark-haired medic as he got up slowly. Right. Let's go, we don't have time to waste here, we need to find Tsunade. The trio quickly went out and followed Shizune to where Orochimaru told her and Tsunade he would be at to hear the female Sanin's answer. Naruto noticed it was a barren field with splotches of green here and there. There was the occasional boulder laying about as well, with a single tree sprinkled around. Off in the distance, the trio noticed Orochimaru, Tsunade, and Kabuto. The blonde saw Orochimaru was standing away from Tsunade and Kabuto. His hands were wrapped in bloody bandages, his arms hanging uselessly at his sides. Naruto could see the tips of his fingers sticking out of the bandages. They were a sickly deep dark purple in color. That's unnatural, thought Naruto as he noticed Kabuto had stabbed himself in the hand and splashed blood all over Tsunade, who froze. Damn it! What kinda medic is scared of blood? Naruto quickly body flickered in front of Tsunade as Kabuto came closer to finish her with his kunai. Naruto brought out his own kunai as he deflected the strike and tried to roundhouse Kabuto, who jumped back to stand next to Orochimaru. Shizune and Jiraiya landed beside the blonde as both sides stared each other down. Naruto saw the snake start to smile and he felt his blood boil as he started to subconsciously release killing intent. The snake Sanin's yellow eyes glowed with malice when they landed on Naruto. My, I didn't expect to see you here, Naruto. I got to say you surprised me at the Chunin exams. All the information I had on you said you were the dead last. I was honestly impressed when you survived a strike from my Kusanagi. Orochimaru chuckled as Naruto grabbed his chest where his scar was. Naruto took his eyes off the traitor Sanin and glared at Kabuto. So you were working for the snake all along, huh, Kabuto? The youngest of the medics let out a smile as he lifted his glasses with his fingers, the sunlight reflecting off them obscuring his eyes. Indeed, I have been loyal to Lord Orochimaru since I was a small child. I must say you surprised me too. Out of you and Sasuke, one would assume the Rookie of the Year would be the first to be promoted instead of the orphaned loser. The blonde narrowed his eyes. Sasuke is an unstable child. Oh, and you're not. Lord Orochimaru told me what happened in the Forest of Death, how you were abandoned by your teammates even when you heroically came back to help them. Jiraiya had a concerned look in his eye as he glanced at his student. But, to be fair to your teammates, you were the most expendable one, and when compared to the treasure that is Sasuke, well. Kabuto shrugged as before, continuing. There's a reason he's called a genius. The blonde's eyes shifted from his normal blue to purple as specks of red started to bleed through. His pupils becoming slits as his anger started to rise. Calm down. Naruto was snapped out of his anger by the voice of the Nine Tails. He took a deep breath as his eyes returned to their normal blue but remained as slits. Naruto dashed at the young medic and tried to take advantage of him still having his left hand damaged. He reached Kabuto, who attempted to kick him, but Naruto grabbed his leg and threw him away from Orochimaru. Naruto turned around just in time to cross his arms as he was sent flying by a kick from the snake Sanin. Naruto landed on his feet as he watched the two male Sanins engage in a taijutsu match. You keep impressing me, Naruto. The blonde turned from the two S-class ninjas fighting back to the young medic. Naruto let out a small tisk when he saw his arm was completely healed. Damn, thought Naruto. You've grown an incredible amount in such a short time. I can't allow you to get any stronger than you already have, you could be a real hindrance. You already messed with my master's plan during the Chunin exams. Kabuto blurred forward as he brought his glowing hand down to hit Naruto. The blonde was barely able to react in time as he jumped up. He coated his foot in earth chakra and axe-kicked the medic. Kabuto grabbed him by the ankle and threw him at Shizune and Tsunade. Naruto tried to land on his feet only to notice he couldn't move his foot as pain shot through his leg. He rolled on the ground and quickly stood up as he created 10 clones. Kabuto saw he was favoring his left leg. I see you noticed. My chakra scalpel allows me to injure my foes from the inside. When I grabbed your ankle, I severed your Achilles tendon. Naruto felt the Nine Tails chakra move to his heel and felt the pain subside. Face it, Naruto, you'll never be Hokage. Shizune stood in front of the two blondes as she brought out her Senbon. Stay back, I'll handle this, protect Lady Tsunade. Naruto saw Shizune dash and soon the two entered a deadly dance as the two medics avoided the other's chakra scalpels. Naruto grit his teeth at being unable to keep with the older ninja's speed. First Orochimaru, then Itachi and Kisame. Now Kabuto too. I need to get faster. The blonde saw that Jiraiya had made a giant mud pit and as he avoided a super elongated sword from Orochimaru. Naruto looked back at the two medics and saw Kabuto had managed to catch Shizune on the shoulder as her arm fell to her side useless. Naruto threw a kunai at Kabuto who caught it midair and threw it back. Naruto avoided it and Kabuto ran at the immobile Tsunade. Naruto body flicked in front of Kabuto who was caught off guard that the blonde could move and received a right hook to the face because of it. The clones of the blonde took advantage and held Kabuto immobile. Hey, Tsunade, I won our bet. The blonde Sannin looked up for the first time as she saw the blonde holding out a perfect rasengan. Naruto saw the Kabuto's eyes widen as Naruto slammed his rasengan into his chest. The rasengan tore through his shirt and ground away into his chest before he was blasted back into a boulder where he slumped down, blood dripping from his mouth. You know, you remind me a lot of Sensei and my uncle. They were always so serious and determined to never have anything stand in the way of their goals. Tsunade reaches into her shirt as she pulls out her necklace and puts it on him. You won the bet, brat. Tsunade reaches down and kisses his forehead. Naruto blushed for a second before his eyes widened. He pushes Tsunade away just as Orochimaru's body flickered next to the two blondes as he tried to impale them. The sword slashes the whiskered blonde's chest as he was thrown back several feet. Jiraiya appears beside the snake Sannin and kicks Orochimaru away. Tsunade, seeing the blonde bleeding, freezes for a split second before she rushes in to heal him. Naruto laid on the ground as the blonde Sannin closed his wound, the poison on Kusanagi, making it impossible to fully heal. That bastard has now ruined two of my favorite jackets. Naruto said as his bleeding stopped and was hugged by a shaking Tsunade. Why did you do that? I thought I had killed you by giving you the necklace. No, if anything, it saved my life. Naruto reached up with his right hand to hold the necklace. It deflected the initial stab and caused it to be a slash. Besides, you may not be living in the village anymore, but you're still a comrade and a member of the Leaf. I want to follow the steps of the third, and he taught me every member of the village is part of the Hokage's family. I would give up my life protecting them just like he did. Tsunade saw the pure fire of determination in his eyes as she nodded. Sarutobi-sensei died for nothing. Both blondes looked at the snake Sannin who was next to a shaky Kabuto who was clutching his chest as he healed himself slowly. Explaining why sensei died to you would be pointless. Jiraiya said as he landed between the blondes and his traitor teammate. You're right, I wouldn't understand why he would waste his life protecting that pathetic village. Naruto glared at the Sannin and watched as Tsunade blurred forward and delivered a devastating axe kick. The attack caused a massive crater on impact and it felt as though she caused an earthquake. The whiskered blonde's eyes widened at the size of the crater. I knew she had super strength, but this is ridiculous. Enough talk, Orochimaru. It's time to end this. Jiraiya stepped up next to Tsunade as Shizu rejoined Naruto behind their senseis. That's right. You'll pay for what you did to Sensei and the Leaf. Tsunade glared at the two traitors as she released copious amounts of killing intent. Orochimaru simply looked at Kabuto who nodded and bit his thumb. He pulled up Orochimaru's bandage in his right arm revealing a snake tattoo and smeared the blood over it. The two loyal Sannin knew what was about to happen and also bit their thumbs as they went through hand seals rapidly. There were 3 simultaneous shouts. Summoning Jutsu. Tsunade and Orochimaru summoned two giant animals. Orochimaru and Kabuto stood atop a purple snake. Tsunade stood atop of a massive white slug with blue markings running along its side. And Jiraiya. Yo! The small rust-red toad waved at Naruto from his spot next to Jiraiya. Naruto couldn't believe his eyes. His sensei had summoned Gamakichi. You've got to be kidding me. Jiraiya screamed. Hello Lady Tsunade, it's good to see you. The slug said to her summoner. It's good to see you too, Katsuyu. Orochimaru. I want at least 100 sacrifices for summoning me. Naruto saw the giant snake yell at his summoner in anger. I can't believe I summoned Yukichi. Jiraiya groaned as Naruto walked up to Jiraiya as he bit his own thumb. I knew you were old sensei but having performance problems already. Shizune blushed at the blonde's words as Jiraiya just gaped at him. Meanwhile, Gamakichi was laughing his head off. Naruto gathered chakra before slamming his hands on the ground. Summoning jutsu. There was a giant plum smoke which quickly dissipated to show Gamabunta. Pops. Gamakichi waved hello at his father from his nose. Kichi. What are you doing here? Manda. Katsuyu. Jiraiya. Naruto jumped down onto Bunta's nose and picked Gamakichi up. Chief. I summoned you. Jiraiya had his chakra control messed up and was only able to summon Gamakichi here, so I brought you out so you could support him against Orochimaru in his summon. The chief toad looked at the blonde who had placed his son on his head. Very well. Since it's you and you summoned me for something important, I'll help. Looks like the missus is getting a new snakeskin wallet today. Naruto jumped down to stand next to Shizune as the old teammates stared each other down. It's been almost 15 years since we've all been together like this. Orochimaru spoke. And this will be the last time too. You're not leaving here alive. Jiraiya threatened. Come now, Jiraiya, we've had this song and dance before, besides. If sensei couldn't beat me, what makes you think you can? Manda, who was watching the exchange, had to slither away to dodge a giant blob of acid from Katsuyu. Always the impatient one, Tsunade. Orochimaru taunted. Stop wasting time, Jiraiya, let's go. Right. Katsuyu spat more acid as Manda weaved around them, going for the perpetrator, only to stop short when Gamabunta tried to jump down on him, blade drawn. The exchange continued for a while. Gamabunta using his jumping ability to avoid strikes from Manda and at the same time using his mobility to cover Katsuyu when Manda got too close to her. Katsuyu herself was acting as long-range support for Gamabunta, and Manda used his superior speed to dodge all attacks. Eventually, Manda was able to use his superior speed to wrap around Katsuyu, who split apart into countless smaller versions of herself. Tsunade took the opportunity to punch Manda away. Bunta. Oil. Gamabunta nodded at his summoner, seeing an opening to end this fight, and put his blade down to go through hand seals. Fire style. Fire bullet. Ninja arts. Toad oil bullet. The two techniques combined with a towering inferno, and the body of Manda could be seen in the flame withering in pain. Naruto watched on as he and Shizune had been forced to jump away to a safer distance because of the scale of the attacks. Gamabunta and Jiraiya got closer to the burned body of Manda once the flames ceased. Naruto saw that parts of the skin were collapsing in on themselves as his eyes widened in realization, but before he could warn his sensei and Gamabunta, Manda blasted out of the ground, fangs poised to strike at Gamabunta. Not so fast. Tsunade shouted as she grabbed Bunta's blade that he had set down to do his jutsu and used it to skewer it through Manda's mouth, immobilizing him. Orochimaru yelled in rage as he wrapped his tongue around the medic's throat and swung her around before slamming her into the ground. He tried to reel his tongue back but couldn't. Tsunade had a vice grip on his tongue as she gave a mighty pull. Get over here. Orochimaru flew to Tsunade, who unleashed a crippling blow to the snake Sanin's face. Naruto heard his skull crack as he was launched away and rolled lifelessly on the ground. Kabuto, who was still on Manda, quickly made his way to his master's side. Damn you, Orochimaru, if you ever summon me again, I'll kill you. Manda roared as he left, leaving behind Gamabunta's sword. Naruto watched the corpse of the Sanin closely, his instincts telling him he wasn't dead yet. It's over. Shizune whispered to herself as she made her way to her master. You owe me some sake, Jiraiya. Gamabunta yelled at Toad Sage. What? But I didn't even summon you. You're right, you summoned my son to the middle of a battle. You owe me 5 barrels of sake, you idiot. After informing his summoner what he owed him, Gamabunta puffed away, shortly followed by Gamakichi. Katsuyu, seeing all other summons leave, bid a short goodbye to Tsunade and left as well. Everyone was on alert as Orochimaru's body moved. His jaw dislocated and opened to an inhuman degree as a perfectly unharmed Sannin slithered out. Brutal as always, Tsunade, you haven't changed at all, have you? Naruto rushed forward to take out Orochimaru as he was still getting out of his old body but was stopped by Jiraiya. Don't go crazy. He'd wipe the floor with you. Naruto nodded grudgingly as Kabuto came to stand next to Orochimaru as he fully extended to his full height. It's a shame you had to oppose me, Tsunade. You would have lived a longer life. Orochimaru sighed as parts of his face started to peel away. Regardless, I have other ways to heal myself. It was the face of a woman who stared back at the group as Naruto felt a shiver run up his spine. What have you done? Jiraiya gasped. Orochimaru didn't answer, only smiled at his old teammates. It's been a fun reunion, but I must be off. Orochimaru and Kabuto sank into the ground and all that was left was the decomposing body Orochimaru had shed. There was silence for the group that was interrupted by Naruto huffing angrily. That's 2 scars he's given me. Naruto looked down to his new wound which crossed over his old scar, making an X pattern on his chest. The others relaxed as the situation became less tense. You're lucky you've walked away from both encounters alive, brat. Jiraiya said as he ruffled his student's hair. Let's go back to the hotel. I can treat your wound better there and give Jiraiya the antidote for the poison. The group made it to the hotel as everyone patched up any wounds they might have, and Tsunade tried to get rid of the younger blonde's new scar. I've managed to heal you as best I can. Unfortunately, the poison on Kusanagi didn't allow me to close it before it scarred over. It's fine, it's not like the scar will change anything. Naruto replied. The blonde turned his head to his sensei, who was giggling mightily. Oh, but it will. Don't you know chicks dig battle scars? I know you spent the night with the young Yamanaka heiress before we left for the mission. I'll bet she'll love the new scar. Jiraiya continued to giggle as he brought out his journal. I can see it now. Make out tactics, golden romance. Naruto flushed slightly before yelling at Jiraiya. First of all, how do you know about that? Second, me and Ino aren't like that, ya perv. Tsunade, seeing her young charge being harassed, walked over to the giggling pervert and sent him through the wall. Enough of your antics, Jiraiya. Naruto's love life isn't any of your concern. I don't have a love life. The whiskered blonde shouted as Shizune giggled to herself as she watched on. The group eventually calmed down and they all left for the leaf at noon. Jiraiya led the group. He was nursing several bumps on his head, followed by Shizune and her pig Tauntaun. The 2 blondes were in the back as Tsunade wanted to speak to Naruto. I want to thank you. Naruto walked at a leisure pace as he glanced at the older woman. For reminding me about my will of fire. I lost myself in my grieving and not one of my loved ones would have wanted that. My brother and fiancé both wanted to be Hokage, and both sensei and grandfather wanted to protect the village so others could live peacefully. So, I figured the best way to honor them would be to follow in their lead. I'll be Hokage for now. At least until you're old enough to take the hat. Tsunade smiled at the young blonde as he nodded tearfully at another person believing in his dream. After 2 days of travel, the group made it to the gates of the Leaf Village as he heard Tsunade whisper to herself. I'm home.